There is a verdict in the Delphi double murder trial of Richard Allen.
You'll recall he's accused of killing two teenage girls and leaving their bodies near a hiking path in the small town of...
On February 13th, 2017, Abigail Williams and Liberty German, two 13-year-old best friends, went on a routine hike near the Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi, Indiana. What seemed like an ordinary afternoon quickly turned into a horrifying and tragic crime, one that would captivate the nation for years to come.
Delphi is just not one of those places where any of us ever thought that something like this would happen.
The two girls were found dead the following day, but what made their case even more chilling was the discovery of a series of clues that would leave everyone wondering who killed them and why. On February 13th, 2017, Abby Williams and Libby German set out on what was supposed to be a peaceful hike along the Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi, Indiana. The trail, nestled in a quiet part of the town, was a local favorite for its picturesque views and natural beauty. The girls, both 13 years old, were dropped off by Libby's family around 1:30 p.m., excited to spend a few hours outdoors. They were due to be picked up by 3:15 p.m., a time that would come and go without the girls appearing. Libby, a teenager with a passion for photography and social media, took her phone along to capture photos during the hike. The two girls were close friends, and it wasn't uncommon for them to document their adventures. However, as the afternoon wore on, their failure to return raised growing concerns. The designated pickup time came and went, and when calls to their phones went unanswered, panic began to set in. Libby's family tried repeatedly to reach the girls, but the lack of communication only heightened the fear. At 5:30 p.m., concerned for their safety, Libby's family contacted the police. Within an hour, local authorities began organizing a search party to find the missing teens. Volunteers, friends, and family members joined the search, combing through the dense woods surrounding the trail. The search grew urgent as nightfall approached, and by 9 p.m. the situation had escalated into a full-scale operation. Despite the dedicated efforts of the police and volunteers, there were no signs of Abby or Libby, nor any clues to their whereabouts. The authorities continued searching throughout the night, but it wasn't until the following day that the search took a grim turn. On February 14, 2017, the bodies of Abby Williams and Libby German were found in a remote area near the Monon High Bridge, marking the beginning of a harrowing and complex investigation. The search begins. The search for Abby and Libby began with urgency. By 6 p.m. on February 13th, local law enforcement, along with volunteers, began combing through the Monon High Bridge Trail and the surrounding area. As night fell, the authorities expanded the search, involving helicopters and canine units. The eerie stillness of the woods seemed to swallow the sound of the search effort, and hopes were fading with each passing hour. The following morning, February 14, 2017, the search intensified. At approximately 12 p.m., law enforcement officers discovered two bodies near the creek, less than a mile from the bridge the girls had visited earlier. The bodies were later identified as those of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Though the authorities would not immediately release specific details of their deaths, it was clear that they had not died from natural causes. This marked the beginning of a nationwide investigation into what had happened to the two young girls. The Delphi murders case took a chilling turn when investigators uncovered a crucial piece of evidence that would become central to the investigation: audio and video footage recorded by Libby German on the day she and her friend Abby Williams were murdered. Liberty, who had been an avid user of social media and enjoyed documenting her adventures, had taken out her phone while on the Monon High Bridge to capture moments of the hike. It was this decision that, unknowingly, provided the authorities with a vital lead in their search for the killer. According to police, shortly before the girls' tragic fate unfolded, Libby had managed to record a short video of a man walking toward them on the bridge. Footage, lasting only about 20 to 30 seconds, showed a man dressed in a blue jacket, jeans, and a hat. His demeanor appeared calm, but what struck investigators was the unsettling sense of familiarity in his actions. He seemed to be walking toward them with purpose, as if he knew the girls or had approached them with intent. The man's movements appeared deliberate, and while the quality of the video was not high enough to clearly make out his face, his presence on the bridge was undeniable. The audio clip recovered from Libby's phone was even more disturbing. A voice can be heard on the recording saying the words, "Down the hill." This command, chilling in its clarity, suggested that the man was directing the girls to move away from the bridge, down a steep incline leading into the woods. The words seemed to signal the moment when he took control of the situation, forcing the girls to follow him into an isolated area where he would ultimately carry out the horrific act. These pieces of evidence, the video of the man walking toward them and the chilling audio of his command, offered law enforcement their first significant clue. The footage provided a rough description of the suspect's appearance, while the audio gave them insight into the killer's voice and demeanor. The video and audio were shared publicly, hoping that someone might recognize the man. Despite the widespread exposure, the identity of the suspect remained a mystery, adding to the fear and frustration surrounding the case. In the weeks and months that followed, the video and audio clips became symbols of both hope and heartbreak for the families of Abby and Libby. Though the footage was harrowing, it became a symbol of their strength, capturing the last moments of the girls' lives and fueling the drive to bring justice to their memory. Following the discovery of Abby and Libby's bodies on February 14, 2017, the investigation into the Delphi murders intensified significantly. Local authorities, along with state police and the FBI, immediately launched a comprehensive search for the killer. The case quickly garnered national attention, not only because of the tragic loss of 2 young lives, but also due to the chilling evidence recovered from Libby's phone. Video and audio footage of the killer just moments before the girls' deaths. This footage became the cornerstone of the investigation, offering a haunting glimpse into the final moments of Abby and Libby's lives, as well as a possible lead in the search for their killer. While law enforcement kept many details of the crime under wraps, the public was soon made aware of the existence of the video and audio. The footage, which showed a man walking toward the girls and giving a chilling command, "Down the hill," was a pivotal clue. The audio provided crucial evidence of the suspect's voice, confirming that the killer was the man seen in the video. This evidence led authorities to release several composite sketches attempting to capture his likeness. The sketches described the suspect as a man in his 20s to 40s, with a medium build, short hair, and wearing a blue jacket, jeans, and a hat. Witnesses near the trail had described seeing a man matching this appearance, and the sketches were drawn based on both the footage and these descriptions. Despite this, the man's identity remained elusive. Authorities hoped that the release of these images would spark recognition, but the tips that followed, though numerous, did not lead to a breakthrough. As the investigation progressed, the case became a media sensation. The story of the murders and the unanswered questions surrounding the killer's identity captivated the nation. Public interest reached a fever pitch, with people from across the country following every development, hoping for any new leads. Law enforcement received thousands of tips, and with the help of social media, internet sleuths, and true crime enthusiasts, every possible angle was scrutinized. In response, a reward was offered for information leading to an arrest, further fueling the public's engagement with the case. Despite the intense media coverage, no clear suspect emerged. The investigation expanded as authorities continued to follow up on tips, sift through evidence, and re-examine the footage for new insights. The killer remained elusive, and the community of Delphi, along with the nation, was left grappling with the mystery. Throughout this time, law enforcement emphasized the importance of public cooperation and continued to appeal for any information that might lead to the killer's capture. The release of the sketches and the ongoing media coverage kept the case in the public eye, raising hope that someone might come forward with crucial information. However, as months turned into years, the investigation seemed to stall. New theories emerged regularly, with some suggesting that the killer was someone local, while others speculated about the possibility of a transient perpetrator. As the investigation entered its second year, the case remained open, with law enforcement refusing to give up on finding the truth. The video and audio footage, along with the sketches, continued to serve as the primary pieces of evidence, but the breakthrough authorities had hoped for remained elusive. The mystery of the Delphi murders lingered, leaving many unanswered questions and fueling ongoing public interest in the case. Despite all efforts, the killer's identity remained a mystery, and the investigation continued, with authorities hopeful that one day the truth would emerge. Following the release of the chilling video footage from Libby's phone, law enforcement worked quickly to produce a composite sketch of the man seen on the recording. The sketch depicted an older man with a rugged, weathered appearance, sparking an influx of tips from the public. Despite the thousands of calls received, the man remained unidentified, and the investigation continued with little progress. As more details about the events of that day came to light, it was revealed that Abby and Libby had been walking along the Monon High Bridge Trail when they encountered the suspect. Witnesses confirmed that the man approached the girls on the bridge and ordered them to follow him, adding a layer of premeditation to the crime. The release of the audio, which captured the man's voice just before Libby's recording ended, provided further confirmation of his involvement in the tragic events. While the public's response was overwhelming, the case remained unsolved for several months. Law enforcement worked tirelessly to analyze evidence, follow up on tips, and review the extensive amount of information submitted. Despite the widespread interest, the killer's identity remained a mystery, leaving the community and the nation grappling with unanswered questions. The case continued to evolve as law enforcement explored every possible lead, but the sketch and audio were the most significant pieces of evidence released to the public during the early stages of the investigation. The combination of these elements, along with the mounting pressure from the public, underscored the determination of law enforcement to bring the perpetrator to justice. The investigation into the Delphi murders had been at a standstill for more than 2 years, when a surprising development reignited hope for justice. Despite numerous leads and public appeals, the case had cooled, leaving law enforcement and the families of Abby Williams and Liberty German in the dark. However, in April 2019, new forensic evidence prompted authorities to re-examine the case, breathing new life into the investigation. For years, DNA evidence collected from the crime scene had been preserved, but it hadn't been fully analyzed. This evidence was now being revisited with advanced forensic techniques, leading to a breakthrough. While the initial DNA analysis didn't immediately identify a suspect, it provided a new avenue for investigators to explore. The possibility that the killer had left behind trace DNA at the scene gave authorities a renewed sense of purpose. Over the next months, the focus shifted to analyzing the DNA more carefully. Investigators believed they were close to uncovering the identity of the man captured in the chilling video that Libby had taken, showing him approaching the girls before the murders. The discovery that he had been seen in the area near the time of the killings narrowed the pool of suspects, and authorities began connecting the dots between the Delphi murders and other unsolved crimes in the region. As the months passed, investigators reviewed thousands of tips from the public, scrutinized new leads, and continued their meticulous search for the killer. In October 2021, after years of searching, law enforcement announced that they had finally identified a potential suspect. However, they did not immediately release the name of the individual, citing the need to protect the integrity of the investigation. This announcement marked a major turning point in the case. For the first time in years, there was a renewed sense of optimism that justice for Abby and Libby was within reach. With a name now tied to the investigation, law enforcement's next steps would be crucial in ensuring that the killer was brought to trial and that the case could finally be closed. The Delphi murders case has been surrounded by numerous theories and speculations regarding the identity and motives of the killer. Over the years, amateur detectives and true crime enthusiasts have debated whether the killer was a local resident familiar with the Monon High Bridge Trail or an outsider who happened to be passing through the area. Some have even suggested that the killer could have been a truck driver, someone transient who targeted the girls during their visit to the trail. One of the most prominent theories is that the killer may have stalked the girls before the crime, possibly watching them for a period of time. This theory suggests a level of familiarity with the area, implying the killer could have had local ties or had been staying nearby. Others argue that the killer could have been a transient individual with no deep connection to Delphi, simply targeting the girls due to opportunity. What is widely agreed upon is the premeditated nature of the crime. The killer's actions on that day appear to have been deliberate, with the chilling audio and video footage of the girls' last moments serving as a haunting reminder of the calculated nature of the crime. The footage is a pivotal piece of evidence, but it also raises more questions about the killer's identity, as investigators continue to work tirelessly to make sense of the limited clues. The case remains unsolved, and the mystery surrounding it continues to captivate the public's attention, with new theories emerging as each year passes. The Delphi murders case remains one of the most haunting, unsolved mysteries in modern criminal history. Despite the chilling evidence left behind by the victims, Liberty German and Abby Williams, the killer has yet to be apprehended. Law enforcement agencies, including the FBI and Indiana State Police, have continued their relentless pursuit for justice, re-examining the case with new forensic techniques and fresh leads over the years. The case has become a focal point of national attention, with the public and media continuing to follow the developments closely. The investigation is ongoing, with numerous tips and leads still being evaluated. The video and audio footage captured by Libby German on the day of the murders remains one of the most crucial pieces of evidence, offering a chilling glimpse of the killer's appearance and demeanor. Despite the advances in technology and forensic analysis, the identity of the murderer remains elusive. Over the years, podcasts, documentaries, and news outlets have kept the story of Abby and Libby alive, reminding the public of the horrific crime that occurred in Delphi, Indiana, and the need for justice. The case has sparked a broader conversation about unsolved murders and the importance of keeping such cases in the public eye. While the search for the killer continues, there is a growing sense of hope among the community and the public that the case will eventually be solved. The resilience of Abby and Libby's families and the unwavering commitment of law enforcement provide a glimmer of optimism that the truth will eventually emerge. In the meantime, the community of Delphi remains in limbo, waiting for the day when justice will finally be served. Until then, the case serves as a reminder that the fight for truth and justice never ends, and that there is always hope, no matter how cold the case may seem. The Delphi murders case continues to haunt both the local community and the nation, with the chilling evidence left behind by Liberty German and Abby Williams offering the most significant clues yet. Despite years of investigation, including thousands of tips and critical forensic breakthroughs, the killer remains unidentified. This case underscores the terrifying reality of unsolved crimes and the immense toll they take on families and communities. Every new lead and update brings hope for justice, but the fight for closure is far from over. As the search for the killer continues, it's a reminder of the importance of keeping these cases in the public eye. Subscribe to stay updated on the latest developments in true crime investigations, and let's keep the pressure on for justice. The truth is out there, and together we can help bring it to light.